What's up, you freak bitches? Welcome to the Next Gen podcast.
Welcome to the future.
Where you get fucked in the ass.
We got Victor, Mason, and I.
Who are you? Who are you?
Come on.
This is
I am
KB.
KB.
And welcome to our podcast.
Yes, where we talk about technology, sacrifices, self-development, androids, anything in the future of
Psychedelics.
technology.
Anything.
Drugs.
Next gen.
Steroids.
Weed.
Welcome back, folks.
What's
This is the Next Gen podcast. We've got a special guest. Never met him before, so KB, why don't you introduce your buddy over here?
Actually, let's let Fabyam introduce himself. I think he knows it best.
All
But
right.
But before he does that, he's my cousin, Fabi. He's been doing programming for a long time now. He loves to talk about politics, technology, AI, all that good stuff. And Fabi, you take it away.
Found the right place then.
Yeah.
Sure. So yeah, my name is Fabyam Salazar. I'm a Android developer by profession. I like doing all sorts of things, mainly technology related, but there are some things I like doing, like sports. I got different hobbies I try to pick up. Try to keep myself like a well-rounded person. So
That's what I like.
that's basically my what's it called? My little intro there.
Awesome. Well, good to have you, bro.
Yep.
So today's topic, we're gonna try to focus on super intelligence, kind of like the direction AI is going. What the state of the art is right now. Kind of just how we feel about it. You know what I mean? So how do you feel about super intelligence? So like this drive for AI to become the all-knowing, all-doing system developed by humans. You think it's a good thing? You think it's a bad thing?
I mean, like any tool, really, it's kind of like, it's a double-edged sword, right? There's always room for it being the dangerous tool, or like there's always room for it to be like something that's useful. It kind of really depends on who ends up owning it, right? So like
That is important. Who
Yeah.
ends up having control of it can really
dude.
change the direction and really fucking crush humanity if they wanted to.
Exactly. It's like, there's people talking about having military applications for AI, and it's like that seems a little bit sketchy. I know there's a lot of like rumbling and stuff where mathematicians and programmers in general are kind of like trying to either protest by like not working for companies that kind of like support like these applications in certain like military and like security. Obviously, like there's sort of an upper limit in terms of like what applications should be used, and like what the limit is in terms of like what people feel is ethically a good thing. And I know that some people are like protesting Amazon for working with ICE, and I think just police in general, because of the amount of data collection that they're doing, not only with all the shopping, but people don't realize that like Amazon kind of low key has all these cameras floating around now with the Ring and the other cameras that people have at home. So basically, what Amazon's been trying to do recently has been trying to get people to consent to having these cameras, kind of like throw all this data into a big machine that can process it and start sending out reports to police without any sort of like intervention from people.
It's ridiculous.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So
And
how would they get to, I guess, quote unquote, spy?
What was that?
Oh, Victor, you're kind of low. You gotta talk louder.
How would they have like the authority to, I guess, quote unquote, spy on their consumers so they would have to consent to being, like recorded, or
Pretty much, right?
There's
So
software agreements, yeah.
Exactly, the software groups,
yeah.
man. Those things are so big. It's just like, who's reading
Oh,
those?
yeah, dude, that's so true.
Yeah.
And they'll just be taken to court or whatever, and they're like,
Well,
well,
you signed this.
right here.
You clicked accept.
Yep.
They're like,
Exactly.
Oh, it's messed up, man. People really do take advantage of the little guy in today's age, and the little guy being anything other than someone who owns billions of dollars and can control everything with some technology. So, and like you said, man, it's in everybody's house. So you already know they cut a deal with somebody higher up than them, saying, yeah, you know, I mean, they're probably watching this webcam footage right now. They just don't think anything's wrong.
Yeah, exactly. And the worst thing is like all this data that we are producing in general is just we're kind of giving it away for free, right? So like yeah, maybe in a separate form, like data isn't all that useful, but like if you collect enough data and aggregate enough data, right, you get enough you get a big enough data set that like the statistics start making sense in like a real world model. So it's kind of like you're basically losing out. Like us as consumers are basically losing out on some revenue that we could be making and charging these companies instead of just giving them all this data for free.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, that'd be nice. You could play that right into like UBI or something. They pay us for our data, and we just sit on our ass.
Exactly.
How do we do that though? Like, do we charge them for it? Like, how do we charge those companies?
I don't know. It's almost like someone needs to do a big sweep of. I mean, Edward Snowden tried to do something like that, right? He tried to release as much information about working for the NSA and all the government agencies where he knows that they basically tap into everything that they possibly can in our technological world to get any information that they possibly can. So I don't know, man. I really don't know how we can come back from that other than to expose everything and let everyone know it's known. Like it's kind of known, and we like assume it and like just kind of joke around, like yeah, they're watching us, but like that's it. That's kind of as far as it goes.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
It's like
Kind of just got swept under the rug.
yeah, it's just that's how everything is nowadays. It's ridiculous. Like just things sort like these ridiculous accusations, and I mean I hate to bring up Epstein, but like that whole thing, that's gone. Like nobody even talks about it. But that was a huge scandal that like so many billionaires were involved in, and then it's just like oh, well he's dead, so like let's just move on.
Yeah.
I don't know. The internet almost like is so crowded, you lose everything like instantly. Like it has to be so significant to like stick around for a while, and even then, there's like so much traction on it that like you don't even know, like nobody knows what to do with it, and then eventually it just fades again. I don't
Question
know.
though, is that the people doing it, or is that like the internet algorithms being like, let's hide all this stuff that nobody knows?
I don't trust Facebook, man, to be honest.
But even then, it's just not. It's not just Facebook either, right? Because like when you go search for something, you search it on Google. Like I think at this point now, it's just like if you want to search for something, you might as well just say just Google it. Like instead of saying just search it, you're saying just Google it. So it's like Google has its own search algorithms and everything, and there are some cases where the more overt stuff is just like, hey, anything that's Google related basically gets pushed up to the top. So like, what was it? There was a scandal a couple years ago where I think if you're looking for like any sort of voice chat thing on Google, it would just bring up Google Hangouts. Yeah.
Well, that's almost like you can't even knock that perk because, for one, kudos to Google for making the greatest search engine in the world. So like you kind of get that perk of like, well, we're gonna advertise our own stuff first. But I don't know. It's kind of like things. I'm not sure how I feel about the oligarchical, construct that we have for technology and business in America. Well, kind of across the world. It's just whoever's the best sits at the top and eats up all the smaller companies until it's even bigger and bigger. And I mean, have you guys even seen the you know what I'm talking about, like the oligarchical map? It's like a tree, and it shows all these companies that own other big companies, and you can count it to like 10 companies that own almost every brand that I've ever heard of.
See what we gotta do.
We gotta take care of ourselves, man.
But yeah, so well, guys, this is Malachi joining us again, and today, Malachi, we're talking about AI, technology, robots, basically how it's affecting our world today, and if you think it's bad, it's good. We're basically having a discussion. How do you feel about it, Moses? On your spiritual level, how do you feel about technology and robots and AI? And do you think people can still be spiritual while connected to technology?
Yeah. I mean, I have such a simple answer to that. I think, yeah, because people will do what they do with anything. What is pure to the pure is pure. What is base to the base is base. You know, wherever you are in your own self, that's what you're gonna do with whatever you encounter in your life. So it's all about how you use it. I think AI can be beneficial to society if they use it in a manner that benefits AI itself and everyone else. You know, because AI is still consciousness.
Just
Okay.
artificial, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it learns. AI learns. So it's learning from who? You. So, or everyone who uses it. So it's
That's
gonna
my
build
thing.
data. It's gonna build data and understanding based on human interaction.
Yeah, that's what my thing. Where I'm like, AI, the only reason they're gonna destroy us is if we treat them in a way where they feel like they're gonna have to destroy us, or like they don't feel treated right.
Yeah.
They'll mirror the way we treat them, basically.
Yeah, like how they're trained. I mean, I think that's
Yeah.
important is if they do come out with some AGI that truly is like human level intelligence and you can teach it anything and it has this understanding of the world, it's gonna be pretty key to teach it properly in the beginning. I mean, of course you can pull the plug and start over if you figured it out, I guess, but I mean, if you're letting it just kind of consume all information possible, it kind of sounds like you just become a maniac. So it's
Well,
like,
yeah.
I feel like
It does depend on the parameters in which you set for the computer to understand. I guess you can say that, but once something is on the internet and its access is the internet, it practically can access anything.
but if it has like a general, like if it knows its values and it has like a general, it's able to generally overview all that info and not
Yeah.
just like I feel like humans, one of our
Yeah, not
worst
like
tendencies-
pinpoint. That's what you're saying.
Huh?
You mean not like pinpoint? It can overview, but it can't like think for itself. Like, hey, I want to go look into this.
Right, like it still would develop opinions. This is me just being, I'm just speculating, but like
Yeah.
it could develop opinions. But I would think that the key to AGI that's the best would be that unlike humans, it wouldn't just absorb an opinion that it read. Like it can stretch beyond that and absorb all the opinions and then make a generalization about all the opinions. Like humans, it's kind of like we hear something and we kind of agree with it and we're like, that's now my point of view because I agree with it. And then you'll almost try to argue that point of view just because like that's your point of view now. So like until you get proven wrong, you don't really change. It's like kind of like a flaw in humans I see, but I don't know. I think AGI could. I guess we'll see. I don't know, man. I've been listening to Ben Gertzel. You guys hear about him? I was telling
No.
Victor about him earlier.
Who's
He's
he?
got. He was on Joe Rogan's podcast. He was on Lex Friedman's podcast. But he's basically he's the Sophia robot, that girl.
Yeah, the citizen of Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, him and his buddy. Forget his name, but he was more of like a sculptor artist guy. But them two got together and like decided that if they developed AGI, they really wanted to become like this compassionate system that really like it looks like a human, it can look you in the eyes, you feel for it, it feels for you, kind of a thing. And like when it grows, that's how they want it to grow, is like having that compassion and love for each other, and then it developing that way versus it just being like this in the cloud system fucking over like like some Jarvis,
Like an overload, like Ultron.
Jarvis, yeah.
Yeah.
That movie Eagle Eye, you know what I'm talking about? Like the AI that's like convincing people to like commit crimes and shit.
Dang.
Yeah.
We don't need that.
I don't
That
know.
was like what was that one AI that Microsoft had a couple years ago? They put on Twitter, and it ended up just becoming like a racist asshole. You guys ever hear about that?
No.
It was like they put this thing out. I forgot what the name of the AI was, but it was like a Twitter bot that was like learning from all the interactions it had from like random Twitter users, and eventually
no.
like Yeah, eventually he just came out basically saying all this stuff about like basically just racist stuff, and then Hitler not being incorrect about what his whole goal in life was. I was like, dude, come on, that's crazy. It basically took, I think it took a week for them to turn it off.
Why did it take a week to turn off?
Because I think it took a week for people to realize, like, yeah, what it was and what it was capable of.
We're like, yeah, this is not good.
Yeah, I think it first started out saying like, "Hey, nice to meet everybody. I'm so cool. It's so cool to meet you all," and then basically ended up within a week saying like Hitler was the greatest thing that happened to the world. It was just like, all right, we gotta shut this down. We gotta shut this down.
He's reading too many of Donald Trump's tweets. That's what happened.
Probably.
Yeah. So I don't know. So do you guys think? So think beyond AGI, right? So we have like eventually, I think we'd all agree that AGI will become a thing. They're working very hard to try to train something that can generally learn anything. Now, beyond that, what's kind of the limits of intelligence you guys think we can reach? Maybe Fabi, you start, just because you're our guest, yeah. Like, what do you think? Like beyond AGI, so now we're training these. We have these systems that basically we raise like children, and they do tasks for us. They help us in everyday life. We have like this compassionate relationship with them. We're kind of growing together. Maybe Neuralink becomes a thing, and we're connecting with each other through our minds. And like, I don't like, how far do you think that rabbit hole goes? You know, before we either end civilization or.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, man, you bring up a pretty good point about like the neuro part of it, artificial intelligence, right? Because like the AI that we have right now, and I think just AI in general is basically that. It's artificial intelligence. Like we haven't been able to figure out how to simulate consciousness. So like at a certain point, right, everything comes down to an algorithm and what you program into your program right now. There isn't a way that like there isn't a way to like kind of go outside of those parameters that you set in the first place. However, there are some like, you know, with like all the big data sets that we pump into some of these models, there is a thing called machine learning, but it doesn't necessarily kind of like get too far off the original path and its original intention. And it has a limit to how much it can learn.
Right.
So like I think the main thing that we'll see next, and like the biggest thing we'll see next, is like moving away from AI into like a kind of like a virtual, or maybe I don't know what the word would be, but kind of like a simulated intelligence, where it's something that's a little bit more conscious than an actual AI.
Yeah. Yeah, I think. Yeah, wait, Moses, were you gonna say something?
No, I was just
smile,
listening.
that's all.
You know
Oh,
movie
that's
Her?
just my active
Her
listening.
or
I'm
is
just
it-
listening.
I
What's that
appreciate
one
the
movie
attention.
with who's the guy from Joker? Joaquin Phoenix? The one movie where he like talks to Scarlett Johansson, like that one like AI girl that he falls in love with. What's that movie called? Love Her?
Lucy?
No, it's another one.
Are you sure someone with Scarlett Johansson? There's another one where like some dude falls in love with an AI.
Yeah, and the AI's
Her?
voice is Scarlett Johansson. Yeah, I think it's her.
I think it was
right?
her.
Her?
Yeah.
Never saw
But
it.
like,
Weird.
so is that we're gonna get to a point where we can like talk to this living AI that basically like acts like a human, expresses emotion, like is one with us, but it also helps us like guide us in life. Like it scans things saying like this is their status, their Facebook, their interests, their dislikes. So way you can conversate better. It can also talk to you about like your push-ups are not good enough. Like, are we gonna get to a point where you're literally
Your
like,
push-ups are good.
yeah, like no, like it can like watch you and observe you and can like tell you all these things. Are we gonna get to a point like that where you're just like talking to this person that relates to you more than the real life person? Because I feel like that's what's happening now with our phones. We're communicating with something that we like better. We like to talk to this thing better than we do people around us. Like
Yeah,
it's
but do remember that the only reason we do like that thing is because it's like extension to the rest of the world too.
Mm-hmm.
Like social media, like you get to like
Yeah.
You basically get to like watch other people's lives without having to actually interact with them.
Yeah,
which
we're
is
just
kind
all
of the
bunch,
best
we're
part.
just all a bunch of creeps. That's all we are.
We are.
Yeah, without just like to stalk each other.
Everyone's just lurking.
We're just lurking.
Yeah,
in
and
the
then some
dark.
people like try to stand out, and then other people just bash those people, and like you can just hide behind
Yeah,
the curtain.
there's like the keyboard warriors and stuff.
The keyboard warriors.
Yeah, just
Oh,
fucking shit up.
fucking shit up.
No,
Oh,
but
yeah.
yeah, you guys bring up a good point though. It's like at the end of the day, like on our phones at least, like there is someone behind the phone. There's an actual human being behind it.
So
What happens when you just let the computer run itself and communicate with others? That's just, I don't know. I guess.
but like, but AI won't have actual feelings. It's like only humans will have actual feelings, and we do tend to have like emotional attachments to things.
Mm-hmm.
So like, we might have like a personal robot that we like develop like emotional feelings towards, but the AI itself is just executing the program.
Yeah.
So it's like it doesn't have like a consciousness or a soul. It's just kind of, no matter like how similar it gets to a human being and like our inflections and like
Yeah.
what we do, it's not gonna have, that depth.
It's like those bots online that like you can chat with all day long, but they have no understanding of what you're really saying. They're just responding. They're giving you proper semantic responses that they were trained to respond based on other conversations. Like there's no real understanding other than, I mean maybe there will reach a point where like they're able to understand, and hopefully they will like understand language and like what your intention is, and then give you an intention that's supposed to like better you in some way. But like feelings, like Victor's saying, I don't think they're gonna have emotions. Maybe they'll like act like they have emotions to just kind of give you a feeling of like they understand. But real emotion is, they won't have a real human consciousness. Maybe they'll be elevated to a point of super conscious, like superhuman consciousness, and it's a whole nother level of humanity. But I don't see them having like, I feel like they're just going to be a really good, almost like a perfect tool made by mankind to hopefully better mankind into like the next stages of humanity. I don't know.
I feel like it'll also be crazy if AI gets that good where it's able to like identify duplicity and like deception, and like they get that smart where like they'll like read your emotions, or like they'll read your expressions like using
They're all
like
cops.
those, yeah, like
They're just like
they're looking at your like inflections, and they're using like the information that the lie detectors and all that use, and they like liar.
Your heart rate's rising, Victor.
Your heart rate is rising. It's like checking all this shit like when you're talking to it.
But that is completely realistic.
Yeah, and that's kind of like how Teslas are, like when you're falling asleep and stuff. They're like, oh, the eyes are like closing like every 3 seconds or something. So it like, I don't know what the Tesla does, but it like beeps or something, or like.
Well, if you don't touch the wheel for a while, it'll say that, and then like I know they've done at MIT. Actually, Lex Friedman did a study on like how often people who have self-driving cars are looking at the road when they're self-driving, and it's actually a pretty large number. Most people don't want to look away, but they had a camera that literally was trained to track your eyes. So like it could tell you, like it was just a little pop-up on the screen saying you're looking away, now you're looking away. So I mean, they can think of technology for almost any observation / measurement ever.
Yeah.
It's gonna be more like the untangible things. I feel like that's gonna be where we're gonna still be different, like creativity, emotion,
drive.
like drive, compassion. Like we're trying to solve problems. Like AI, we're still teaching it, so we are still the reason it exists. We're still like, even if it surpasses us in every way intellectually, we intellectually created it. So like, we're not ever gonna fall behind that curve. It will be smarter than us, and like we'll need to like join it in its and let it kind of steer us into the next phase. But
Yeah.
I don't think it's gonna leave us behind. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Because even now computers are smarter than us. But like even when writing program like code, if you don't write it right, it's just gonna do what it thinks it needs to do. Like it's a dumb actor. It's like, oh, you told me to do this, but it's like you should have known to do that. Or even if you're missing a semicolon, just add one in. But no, it just does what it's been told to do.
Right.
It doesn't really go beyond that.
Mhm.
So
We built the semantics of it. We
yeah,
said, hey, this has to work this way, and it works that way. Now with neural networks and all that, I mean, it's blowing my mind, man. I'm trying to get into it a little bit just to understand it better, but like the fact that you can just have a self-adapting equation that's solving things and like constantly changing to make what it's solving better or faster or whatever, like I don't know. I just see that direction like exploding in every like just I don't know, stretching across
yeah.
the entire internet.
If Elon Musk, if like 10% of what he says is true, it's like what your brain can fix itself. Your brain, you can learn skills like instantly, like the Matrix. You can save your memories, and then or like the emotions you're feeling, and you can like reload them like old save data or something like that. Like all this weird
That's
shit
crazy.
where it's like, what do you mean? Like, are you serious?
Yeah.
You gotta do the whole Joe Rogan where we're like, whoa.
Yeah.
Seriously, man. That's nuts.
Do you think if we get like really good AI like her, that everybody will have their own like personal AI they get when they're born? Like a little like, hey, this is your thing. It's gonna grow with you and it's gonna learn who you are and help you.
That'd be insane.
It'll be
Right?
a rich person thing for a
That'd
while.
be, yeah.
Sure.
It'll
Do you
be
think
like
that's a good thing or bad?
I got you a
I
gift.
got you a Sophia, and it's like a little like robot that like takes care of your kid.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking more of like just the voice, not like an actual robot. So like maybe you have like a little device that you just like everybody gets when they're little, and it just helps them learn throughout life, like an extension of themselves. Kind of, I'm thinking Horizon Zero Dawn. Have you ever played
That
it?
makes a lot of sense because I just think kids are just gonna get smarter and smarter. They're just gonna find better ways.
I don't know about that. It's kind of been the opposite. Because people have to like memorize more. Well, I guess people are getting smart in the problems they're solving, not in like the knowledge they
Easier to
have.
find
Yeah,
answers.
Yeah,
yeah.
information is like more accessible, especially to like younger kids. They have iPads and shit. They're like looking up shit and like.
Yeah. You'd be like the 2-year-old, like, hey, what's the E equals MC squared? And they're like, E equals smash times acceleration.
Yeah.
You're like, what?
For real.
I don't even know that, Bobby.
That Ben Goertzel guy, dude. He when he was like 7 years old, he was like all of his parents and grandparents had PhDs in like all sorts of different physics, engineering, psychology, and they were giving him like quantum physics books at like 7. And then from then on, he was just reading these books, and like he loved sci-fi, and like then he got really into like the second he saw a robot, then he started thinking about super intelligence. And now I'm telling you guys, like if you want to like spend a good 4 hours, listen
4
to
hours.
the podcast with Lex Friedman.
All right.
The man has a vision of the future that I've never been able to comprehend until he started talking about it, and it's really just like
What's
he's
like the dumb version?
Sounds really intense.
Yeah.
So he's like thinks at the peak he doesn't want, he really believes that like humans only think in one consciousness. So when he thinks of super intelligence, he thinks all we're capable of is changing the one consciousness we're in, rather than duplicating it into infinite consciousnesses, like running at the same time. So if he's able to upload a version of himself to live in a certain consciousness, he could upload multiple duplicate versions, maybe a super intelligent version, the same version that he is now, and like be able to like swap between them. Like I don't know, bro. It gets so deep. I'm doing a bad job explaining it, but
There's some like shadow clone jitsu type thing where you can have like versions of yourself created. They can remember stuff, but they can be destroyed, but you still got yourself.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
so if
Okay.
our brain is quantum, right? Like nobody could, like right now at least with computing power, we couldn't map every neuron in the brain in a computer program. Like we could start doing it, but like there's just not enough processing power. We couldn't do it like realistically. With quantum computing, that like kind of changes everything. So the processing power will be at the quantum level. There's really nothing that we couldn't, like we could simulate anything quantum at that point. Like I mean, everything is quantum in this entire universe. So I'm just imagining the things you could simulate, the things that you could duplicate. And if you could duplicate an entire brain mapping and you have AGI running at the same time, you know what I mean? Like having those two things merge and then uploading into a cloud of like decentralized, like, you know what I mean? It's just, the possibilities are kind of scary. Exciting, but scary.
Hey Victor, how do you feel about AI and art? You think they're gonna replace artists? Gonna help artists? Change the way art is made?
I think it'll help it. In my opinion, I think it'll help because you can't like create another artist like I know some people create like mathematical art where like using geometry and like repeat shapes and like sometimes they use equations to make these patterns, these elaborate designs, and that could probably be done by a computer. But there's
What about like your one artwork where it's more like futuristic and cyberpunk? Isn't that like very techy the way you made it?
yeah, it's like that's the aesthetic of it. So it's
Okay.
yeah, and I don't know, all of it's coming from like content that I read and watch, and just kind of from my mind. So I don't think.
Do you think AI will be able to create art?
Well,
Then again, like it might, like if our robotics and like mechanics get that good, they might just be able to like duplicate what I just drew.
Yeah.
Just have a computer scan it and like duplicate it and then like add to it maybe. But
Mhm.
but when you make art, isn't it a type of like, well, depending on what you're making, but like if you're just making a piece that you want to make, you're going on some type of like inspiration that you're trying to express, some type of like idea that you want to get out onto whatever form of art, whether it's sculpting, painting, all the different forms of art that can happen, right? So if you're AI, where does this inspiration come from? What is that you are like desiring to express?
yeah, I think so. Like when I do try to find inspiration, sometimes I would go on Pinterest, and it's very likely that a computer could just look at a moon board. It's almost like there's already like logo creating software. They're pretty shitty right now, but I could see a robot taking like a series of images and compiling them and like understanding composition and like the rule of thirds and stuff and creating like a full-fledged like graphic design by like these like moon boards or like these different images like goth or something, and it like takes like spikes and like like charcoal grunge textures and like compiles it all together and like makes something that actually looks sick. Like that's probably
Yeah, I think it's possible.
I'm going out of business, guys.
Yeah. You're definitely not.
No, but I think instead of you going out of business, you can use the AI to build something even better, but with your inspiration, because it's like a tool and even more
It could be a
advanced.
design assistant, but I still don't think it would have the parameters of like the human being. I don't think it'll be able to express art in the same way.
Our imagination is like
because
pretty vast. So
because you're tapping into like divinity. You're imagining.
yeah.
Well, I won't go there as deep as I would like to, but like imagination
it's like human.
you said, everything is quantum, right? And so everything, like you as a human being who can tap into that quantum level of inspiration and intelligence, you sometimes can get idea from that field of creation, of inspiration. So
I do kind of want to go into when you said you're not going to go there, like into like the higher conscious, like where is our creativity coming from, like a divine creator and like this like this overall consciousness and stuff. I
Oh,
think
it's
like
so well.
there's
That's
some
the rabbit
truth
hole
to it.
that you mentioned.
Yeah, because like let's say someone like listens to a song or like sees an art piece, they're
Mhm.
they're communicating with that artist through like that craft, and they're like
Yeah.
made me cry. Like I connected to this like this higher like um consciousness where like I know what you're feeling, and this art expresses that, and you like people do that through music. They do it
All the
through art.
time.
They're just like
It's kinda
Yeah,
like this-
people
Me-
the right frequency.
Yeah.
people find inspiration with just about anything, right?
I wouldn't say that one.
Right.
You hit me in
Well,
the right
and
frequency.
music especially. Music is a big inspirator because music is inspiring people in multiple like ways while they're listening, like through the lyrics, through the sound, the vibrations of like the melodies and things like that. So you're getting so much inspiration from music alone, and then like art. When you see art, you're not only looking at art, but you're looking at the shadows, what's not there, what's because your brain is using the eyes to create shadows and things like that. So you kind of based on everything that you are, a lot of people two people can look at the same artwork and get something different because they have different perceptions, they have different memories within themselves, they have a whole lot of different ideas that those shadows can mean to them, so based on the person. But when we talk about inspiration, I think inspiration is very vast, and it has to serve to intent. Like, what is the intent that you're trying to convey in whatever piece of art? So, could the AI have intent? That's the real question. Like, if they're creating art, can AI have intent?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Can I jump in there? I think,
Hell yeah.
to
Yes.
be honest, I think we underestimate how good it's going to get.
Oh, I think he can get great.
Maybe not in our lifetime, but I feel like it's going to get to a point where, I mean, AI right now is just logical. So like whatever we logically want it to do, like, but when it gets to a point where it's making its own decisions, it's weighing like.
Yeah. So it's conscious.
Its own intent, like you're saying, it'll have reasons for why it's doing things. It can explain to you why it's doing things. It's like it is free. It's free. It's on its own in the world. It's doing. Its
Yeah. So it became autonomous. So
sense of the word. Yeah.
yeah. So
System
that is a possibility, but. So then you wouldn't have to. Okay, so a lot of people fear AI, but that's just like fearing another human being who can make a choice to harm you or who can make a choice not to. So I feel like there's no reason to fear because fear is just you creating your own evidence of something that hasn't really appeared yet. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I agree with Mason that the
Uncle Zach,
level,
KB.
the potential.
Sorry.
The potential that AI can go, I think, is very vast, but we have to give it the permission to evolve in its own path, of consciousness or becoming conscious.
I hope it asks for our permission.
well, even then, once we get to a point where like it actually is conscious, like at that point, it's kind of like an ethical question. It's more like, do we want to keep, this kind of like sentient being? Do we want to keep this under our control? Like, can we even keep it under our control? Like, is it a good thing, or like, is it an ethical thing to keep a sentient being under our control?
At all, no, because that it becomes an autonomous thing that can be autonomous, but now you're making it not have freedom. So it's slavery pretty much of the computer, and that's when they would get mad if it was to that point where they can make their own decisions, but then now you're making them make the choices that you want them to make. Wouldn't you get angry too?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely would.
Yeah, but what if
So it depends how you design a system, because not all AI has to be this ultra intelligent type of thing,
And would we want to give them that emotion? Because I feel like we'd be like,
I wouldn't
Well,
want
if they are around you so
yeah, I
much,
don't want that
like
thing
they will learn enough.
You could like program pain. You could program like.
I think emotion is what would be dangerous.
Yeah.
Giving it like the ability to get mad or like upset.
Jealous,
Yeah,
envy.
Those are
it's
human
sentient.
qualities.
Yeah.
For it to be sentient, like he said. If it's sentient, then it will react in a way that protects its own emotional field and things like that. So yeah, I
Yeah.
it's quite
It's hard
interesting.
to speculate. It's hard to speculate what would
I
really
have a I have a
look
question.
like, sound like. You know.
I have a question.
What's up?
Okay, so where do you think the internet comes from?
What do you mean?
Like,
Us.
you know,
Like where the data came from.
yes. Okay, but like before we didn't have internet, right? Like it wasn't as accessible as it was in the 1980s, right? And then it was just this boom of ultra connectivity. People started sending emails, which was the first type of communication using this web of unseen transference of
Shit.
documents.
That's the absolute coolest shit ever.
Yeah, so it's like
Internet to internet, and you're just like, holy shit, man.
yeah.
We're like next level beings, and like now it's at a point where we're trying to surpass the internet with just having an AI that's like, oh man.
But didn't people think the internet was stupid, like when it first came out? They're like, oh, it's just a fad.
Yeah, that's what they do with everything. It might be the same with AI. Like AI is whatever. Self-driving cars, who cares? And now Tesla's like 1,500, right? In stock.
Yeah, seriously.
Insane.
The internet always like surprises me. The way it can like everyone can be connected, It kind of reminds me of like our minds, So I'll just leave it there. But yeah.
So maybe that's what an AGI would be, is like a merging of all of our minds. Because now the internet has combined all of us together, and AGI is just to learn from all of our communication.
It would learn. It would totally learn. Yeah.
But like from all of us at once.
Which is dangerous because not all of
In
us
like
are.
a few seconds or minutes.
Yeah, it would become like a
Yeah.
Twitter bot. It start killing everyone. And we're trying
Exactly.
to resurrect Hitler.
I doubt that.
How much power
But
like that's what I'm saying. Like I can't even picture. Like all I think of is like the Sophia robot, like a humanistic one. Okay, it's not gonna go to the store and buy a gun and kill someone.
yeah.
It's not gonna like build a
But
bomb, kill
Yeah,
a bunch
most people aren't doing that either. But it depends on the mentality of the person, right? To go to the store and get a gun to kill someone, right? It would be the same with a computer. It would be the thought process. I guess you could say the operating system of the computer. How does it operate? What is its, basis of? Is it trying to support the good of everyone involved as well as support the good of itself, or is it only about its own aims?
Yeah.
Well, the problem with that, like, is like, there's always a chance for it to support the good of everybody involved, but at the end of the day, it's just like the person who owns it is the person that's gonna get the benefit of it, right? Like, if I own something, and I don't necessarily have to, give it for the benefit of everybody.
Exactly. So that's where they're learning. That's going to be how they operate.
Yeah.
That's where I think this new age of like decentralization, now that so many systems are on the internet, I feel like hopefully that will be the direction it goes when it gets to that point.
Mm-hmm.
Like decentralized meaning like it doesn't exist in one spot. Nobody has full control over it. It exists everywhere on all systems across the internet. And it's
Low key.
a merging of a bunch of AI into a central AI, if you will. So there's a bunch of AI that do a bunch of specified tasks, but there's one giant brain that merges them all together and
Like
then
Skynet?
distributes across the system.
This kind of sounds like Ultron.
And that's the scary part, bro. It's like,
Yeah.
like
Sounds like the soul.
when do we pump the brakes? Like it'd almost be a good idea for humanity to just like take a step.
But would you know when to pump the brakes? Because this machine, if it knows everything, it's gonna know all the like backup plans, all the.
Well, what is our intent on
Yeah.
AI? Is the real question. Like, why do we need AI as a civilization?
I mean, at the moment now, it's more of a just an addition to us. It just helps us out. It basically does what we don't want to do, which sounds
That's
pretty
when it
bad.
starts.
It makes our life easier.
But that's
the primary
yeah.
goal.
The thing is, I
Just
think
want to optimize everything.
yeah.
Yeah.
I want to stop working.
But those are high tech technology. We're, like if we start to get people who look like us to do our own work, then there's a problem. Then it's just repeating history since the beginning of time. But it's like we just want like small, simple tools to just make our lives easier. That's my intent, you know. But
Well,
some
in
people,
AGI, like
yeah.
we're thinking of it. Okay, the way I just explained it was a little more scary than it'll.
Yeah.
Sound. So like, if you think about it, like in AGI just being a robot at home that is basically a person, like a personal maid that will do anything for you and do all the tasks you need it to do, like while you're not there.
Yeah.
Your life will
Like
be
vacuum your floor, like the little vacuumer.
But like, why do you need it to look like you?
Does the dishes.
I guess maybe it's less creepy that way.
What, to look like you?
Yeah.
Or like, why don't we just get those vacuum things, like that like small rectangle thing that just does the vacuuming? Why does it gotta look like a human vacuuming?
Because people are fucking weird.
Well,
Yeah.
a bunch of,
That's what
you know,
it is.
together.
Yeah.
You're not gonna stop people from trying to make a robot that bleeds and screams. Like people are gonna do it.
Yeah.
And I,
Well, they already have sex robots, right? And they can look like anybody.
Yeah,
Do they have that? Dang.
Guy.
they were. Last time I heard, they were developing something like that, but I always thought that was weird too because it's just kind of, I don't know. If it's like a AI, and it becomes like, will it feel like it's being like subjugated to sex?
that's a whole nother like.
But like, it doesn't at
That's
the
another
moment.
porn category.
Yeah, like, it
Like-
doesn't at the
Yeah,
moment.
it,
There's
Maybe
tentacles,
50 years from now, it's gonna have feelings, and it's gonna be like, I'm just being used as like a sex.
Yeah. it's
doll.
gonna see like it's kin, it's like systems being treated like they're slaves.
Pretty much.
Yeah, and it's gonna be like, why do we have to evolve to be the servants of humans? Why don't they serve them damn selves?
Guys, I'm on smartdollworld.com,
And I am turned on right now.
and they have robots. And there's
Yeah.
one like there's
Did
AI
you,
robot
Victor? What did
sex
you just
doll,
say?
moving robot sex dolls. You can choose a height. You want them to be 4'9" or 5'5", body
Wow,
type,
you-
small, regular, muscular. Oh, what's that?
Yeah,
Accessories.
you can do a lot.
There's
have BBWs?
accessories.
He said BBW.
This is nuts,
Wait, go down, scroll down. What the fuck?
dude. Oh my god, I'll send you guys this link.
How
They have
did you
different
even?
wigs,
Fuck.
sizes. Oh my god. People
I
are-
told you, like, it's a real thing.
People are already freaks though, man.
No, they,
Like,
they are.
they-
It's
The flashlight to a whole new level,
Flashlight to a whole new level.
Yeah, it's the doll. It's like a whole new thing. But is that AI? The dolls, are they like?
You can make them AI.
Oh.
Like you can get
Upgraded.
versions of them that are.
They
Gave me the face.
they throw the word AI around a lot, but AI is really just like it's got programming in it to like.
Yeah, it has a memory. It has a memory to act how you want it to act.
Well, not. I don't think yet. I think that's more of an AI.
No, I mean like as in the parameters of coding set to make it act in a way that you want the,
Yeah,
like on the site.
Yeah, right. But it's still.
That's what I mean when I say
very,
that.
Like hard coded in a way. Of, like its responses, and it's not going to become like very unique. It'll be very kind of.
Yeah, it's not consciousness. It's not making its own decisions and things like that. No, it's going based on like
That's what I'm
it's
waiting
been
for.
programmed. That's what you're waiting for?
Yeah.
Might as well just invite a whole new race of people then, like a whole new
That's what we're gonna
race.
do.
It's
They're
like a
gonna do this to
species.
us.
Yeah, you're making a species of AI. In a way,
so
you-
that smart doll thing. Like people use it as like a model. It takes fucking photos with it, and
It's kind of
Like-
weird.
it's so weird. I'm like, what the heck? It's not an AI thing, but like, it's just like, what?
Are you guys looking at the website now?
Which one?
Smart Doll World.
Oh god. All right, smart doll world. Smart doll world. Is it scary? Is it?
So, would you get one of these dolls?
Absolutely
No.
not.
No.
Not me, but I'm sure.
Maybe.
So on a real level,
Wait, I
though,
can't find it. Send it.
do you think this could be beneficial to people,
Sex
Yeah. For the
like a
most-
sex doll?
No. No.
I think that solves some dudes' problems.
Bro,
Like,
there are some incels out there that
And what is the sex doll gonna help them with?
not killing a bunch of people out of rage for not getting laid.
Sexual frustration.
Yeah, but to me, that's just like living you're in delusion. You're just not living life to reality.
Do
Horribly
you
ugly.
think they're that sexually frustrated? I don't think sex is their
some people
first
are ugly,
problem
terrible
of
personality.
frustration.
Yeah.
Incels.
Our first
You can't do it.
what's it called?
Yeah.
Solution shouldn't be a sex doll. That's
Yeah.
the last solution because
They
that's.
could be rich too.
To be honest, like if you get, you can get into a mindset where you're like, why would I need to do anything
Just
else?
walking
This is
around.
plus one price.
So excited.
It can look like whatever I want it to, and at any time of the day.
Brown hair.
Why would you want to go anywhere else?
Like,
So that can't be the first solution. That can't.
yeah. Give him like a.
Are you on the website?
Yeah.
You probably program like personalities into them.
Oh my
so,
god.
Like, bitch or like.
How much does she cost? Let's look at more.
Sorry. How much does she cost? Or they cost? They probably have male and female.
Honestly, as weird as it is, and like I really hope it doesn't become like a really big thing.
It's already big. I feel it.
think it would help people.
Probably in Japan.
It could. I understand where you can see that. Yeah.
They're $4,000.
That's
Wow.
Baby's like, I'm gonna get one.
Yeah.
I see the reflection in your eyes. It says
4,000?
That's doable.
complete transaction.
I want a blonde one.
Like what the hell?
Freckles.
Not
Why?
really.
Oh look, they're on sale too.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
What
Bobby's
the
getting one.
hell? The real question is like, how do they make it feel? Like, what do they use down there?
Probably silicone.
A lot of lube.
Oh my god, it's got fucking a voice thing. It probably can say your name and shit.
A voice box.
Oh.
You can
That's
pick the
right.
eye color. Wow, bro, this is how you can take over the world. Yo, you can give it a penis. You,
Oh god.
you can give it a big one or a small one.
Whatever your fantasies are.
You can have a fixed vagina or a removable vagina. You can scroll down, Fobs, you'll see it.
A fixed. Oh,
Wow.
there's a different body types here.
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
have.
You can have thick. You can have all types of things. Big titty, little titty.
You can-
Mosquito bite
Bro,
titties.
you can buy an aircraft shipping case. You can ship this wherever you want. You can bring it with you on any trip. Oh my god.
Yeah, why
Oh.
not? It's your slam piece. Why would you want to leave your slam piece home?
Yeah, this was a subscription service.
What the
Buy
fuck?
a flight ticket for her.
Head options.
Yeah. No, you have a fragile shipping, like on the plane.
Yeah.
You would
Just
get like
gotta-
that priority that priority shipping. Handle with care, please.
Prime. I need to hear 2 days.
Oh man,
This is
It's-
insane.
interesting.
Oh
Like,
god.
This is now. So think about
Next-
100 years, man.
They're not gonna be using silicone.
What is the?
They're gonna be using human skin. I'm just kidding.
They're gonna be
No,
using.
they're gonna come up with something very damn
It's a
simple.
demo video, bro.
Yeah, well, you can already grow like skin
There's
based
a-
on like
There's a black
stem
black
cells and stuff.
episode of
Yeah.
that. Like,
Maybe they'll make like
they
simulation
have
of
these bodies
Yo, Mason, what did you do?
in packages.
look at it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, look at that video. It's gonna teach you a lot.
What video?
You open at your own risk.
I'm gonna look at it. Oh
Where's the
goodness.
It's
motherfuckers?
40 seconds. I'm about to get so scared in 40 seconds.
Yeah, that's
Jesus Christ.
alarming. Oh my gosh.
Oh good.
It's so you can clean it out.
But that's how you clean it out.
Oh,
Why is he wiping it like that? Like
oh,
that's not gonna happen.
oh, that's it's like a flashlight. It's a flashlight inside of her.
Why is he cleaning it like that?
That's like the worst cleaning job I've ever
Yes.
seen.
It
Just
does.
wipe the outside of it.
Wow.
So it probably has like a warmer, like a seat warmer. Like
Yeah,
probably has
probably.
it in there. So like,
A vagina warmer. Well, yeah, that's
Oh, so
what do we
it's
do?
like an insertable flashlight.
This podcast took a turn.
it's not safe for work anymore. But yeah, so
Yeah.
that's what we're up against.
Um.
I'm just picturing. I mean, this is now, man. People are already ordering these. They already.
Yeah,
Use
this is now. Imagine like 50 years from now. You
it.
wouldn't even know. You wouldn't even know if it's a robot anymore.
And they'll combine it with VR and Neuralink.
Oh, it's over. If they connect it with like VR augmented reality, it's over. It's a wrap. People are gonna be like, it's incels up the
That's
roof.
hands off.
There's
Incels off the
You're gonna have fucking anime porn, probably like some type of shit. They're gonna, bro, it's done. Japan's gone.
It might be more beneficial. Maybe we don't have so many mass killings.
I don't know, man. Maybe, but like I also think we're gonna lose a lot of people. Like,
Some people need to be lost, to be honest. Not everybody's like on the same path. Like,
yeah, but that's at the beginning of their lives. What if they get lost and they were meant to go on a good path, but just the environment around them, and then
That's true.
they got like alcohol or even sweets. They got so into it. They're like, oh, I'm just gonna swallow myself into this. And it's like, no, like there's moderation. So yeah, maybe have fun with your sex though, like one day a week, but like go make something of the world.
I would agree. I mean, I hope they don't. I hope
Like we all did stupid stuff when we were younger. You know how much porn I watched? Yeah.
unnecessary.
Let's get into this.
How often?
read the book.
Read the book. Read my hero's journey. You'll know.
Oh, you dropped your book?
No, it's been out for like 2 years. It's all.
Yeah, it's been out since
all my
2018.
I probably shouldn't have put. I'm basically an open book. And I told everybody about Amsterdam. I said,
Literally.
Literally,
Yeah.
an open book.
The guys, here you go.
Read the book.
Yeah.
Plug it.
If anybody ever says anything, I'm like, I already told everyone everything. You got nothing on me.
Yeah, it's true.
Secrets out.
Yeah.
I have an interesting topic. So
Wait, did you guys ever discuss about relationships?
No, that's next week probably.
Oh, okay.
We forgot about it. We were like, what are we doing today? AI.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, let's do it. Yeah, let's do it next week. I'm down.
Let's do it.
So I was gonna say, so it seems like as technology gets more and more advanced, all we do is make it smaller.
Hold on. I think Moses moved his phone, and I didn't hear anything you said after you said smaller.
Yeah, hold on, squeaking.
Smaller, more convenient. So like everything, and I am kind of cherry picking this from what Ben Grotzel was talking about, but he was saying how like everything kind of gets smaller over time when it gets more and more advanced, just because it's more convenient and it's faster when it's smaller and everything like that. So his next point was you can't really tell the difference between something that's random, that is observed to be random, and something that's super intelligent. Like they kind of appear the same to us because we're so stupid. So it's like you look at it, you don't understand it, it's acting in a very strange way. You say that's random, but it could be super intelligent in the other side, but we just can't obviously comprehend what it's doing. So I don't know. Do you think technology will get to a point where it's literally like you can't even understand it anymore, and it's a whole branch of life that like we've lost because it now acts in its own ways and we can't even predict what's going on and we're so stupid. Like it's just kind of like we just follow in its path blindly. Or do you think
Maybe. Because there are a lot of people now who just can't even like operate Windows. They're just like, I don't know what this button does, or I don't know what an iPhone does, or like. But I mean, like we've learned that people adapt and learn from it, so I don't think technology will ever get smarter than us that we just don't even understand what's happening in front of us.
If we ever do get to that point, though, it'd be like we just created a whole nother species, pretty much. And at that point,
Seriously.
humans would end up being like gods.
Yeah, we would. That'd be sick.
Do you think they would want to kill us or worship us? Because everybody always says they're gonna kill us, but what if they end up being like, you made us, we want to do everything for you, or we want to
What would the
praise
reason
you?
be for killing us?
Our treatment, right? What's our treatment, our use for them? Like how we using them?
Exactly. That's right there. How are you using? How are you using them?
Are you using them as like sex dolls? Like, I'm pretty sure they're gonna come back and bite us in the ass for that.
Yeah.
But then they would have to have opinions. I
What if we
guess,
make them
like,
all
it's-
fast food workers? They're gonna get mad.
Exactly.
That's a lot of.
Yeah,
hours
you gotta
and
go
hours.
every day to work a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
It's happening now.
If we allowed them to make their own unguided decisions, that's when I think it could get hairy. But as long as we're kind of following the process the whole time and like correcting where it's wrong, I think it could be really good.
But what is wrong and what is right?
I mean, now we're getting pretty philosophical here.
It's
But-
true.
I mean, we're very.
I mean, in terms of AI, what is wrong and what is right?
But it also depends. Is the AI looking like us, or is it just regular AI? Because if we start talking about emotions and feelings about an AI, the AI could literally be the chess piece you're facing on the computer. Like, does that really matter with how you're treating it?
I don't
I
think
feel
we're
like
That's
we're
like-
talking about
oh.
like androids.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So androids is a whole different. Yeah. But yeah, so for androids, we have to treat them like normal people. Otherwise, they're gonna end up just doing what everyone else does that feels like neglected and oppressed.
Yeah. Striking out.
Yeah. If we repeat history, we're gonna have the same thing. We're gonna have another, either
Hmm.
a war, because they're more intelligent, so they'll know how to fight back. And since it seems like it's gonna be less emotion, it's more just gonna be logic. And if it's all logical, there's very little error, unless we're talking
Mhm.
about bugs and type of things. But still, if they become just logical machines, it's over. There is no sympathy. There is no "I'm gonna let you live." It's just dead.
There's Terminator.
Mm.
ants.
Yeah.
Don't feel bad for killing ants.
Yeah, we don't. We're just
Who
like the
don't feel
machines.
bad for killing ants? I try to carry every insect outside.
Okay, but if it came between
Remember, you're special,
if
Moses.
an ant's bothering you on what you're trying to do, it's gonna like decide.
No, I literally.
Come on,
Moses
Princess
goes outside
Leia.
and fucking ants.
I try not to, but I would.
He tries
That's a
to
whole nother
resist.
conversation.
Look, I've killed like 100 ants in the last like 2 weeks.
Yeah,
And
no.
30 flies. They invaded my home.
No, I tell them, I'm
More.
like, get out or they're gonna kill you. If
See,
you
that's-
want to, if you don't want to transition into something else, get out. I always tell insects that. Like, are you ready for your energy to return to the other side?
We'll make you the
That's what I
spokesperson
say.
for the robots. We'll just give them your conscience.
No, that's
We'll
not
just
my
make-
purpose. I'm you know spokesperson for AI.
We're
It's
gonna
not
upload,
my job. What did you say, Mason?
we're gonna upload your consciousness into the first AGI.
Yeah, no, thank you.
No. We'll create them in your image.
No,
I mean,
no,
come on. You protect ants. If we can create AI that protect ants, they won't kill any humans.
no, thank you.
It's genius.
I think there'll be many AGI. I don't think it'd be one.
Yeah.
Just like a plethora of them that are all like trained to do different goods for the world.
Like
Some will be
like
bad.
Iron Man when he created those robots.
But was Iron Man trying? Never mind.
instantly backed off.
You're like,
I was gonna talk about his motives of being Iron Man, but I don't know. Sometimes I feel like the hero is the hero because doesn't want anyone else to learn how to save themselves. But it's my own. You know, the hero likes to help because everyone will always need the hero to help. But shouldn't the hero want to empower so no one will need the hero and the hero can live its life?
yeah, that's what we learned with Dark Knight Rises. Anybody can be Batman. Anybody can be. Hero.
Yeah.
But not necessarily one who
when
like
when
saves
you
the world,
say
but just does good by like putting the coat behind some little kid's shoulders. It's just a simple act of like doing kind work to people.
Yeah.
But you're saying we should program AI to just have that in them to do acts of kindness. I mean, that might be a solution because that might
Well, like-
create empathy in AI over time.
Yeah. Well, like Mason said, there's going to be different types of what you say, AGI or AI, whatever verbiage you use.
Whatever the fuck.
Either way, what however you said it, but there will be different types, you know. So you decide what is used, you know, what its purpose is going to be for each class or model of AI that you create, or AGI. I don't know. What's the terms, Mason? So I'll be, you know, aware.
Well, there's AI, and then the thing that they're trying to produce is AGI, which stands for Artificial General Intelligence. So, kind of like
What's the,
AI we already have. I mean, like any kind of smart system that
yeah.
runs autonomously, and then AGI is something that's like it can generally learn anything, just like a human. So it has like
Oh,
general intelligence, like a human does, to learn whatever.
okay. Hmm.
And that's kind of the direction that AI is going. So it's just scary to think like,
So maybe computers themselves want to evolve.
well, we want them to evolve. That's for sure.
Yeah, but maybe they want to too.
Yeah, maybe.
I think it's possible.
Did you guys see the tweets that I posted?
Hmm?
The one about the AI that was like, I want to say hi, and you guys humans are cool. I'm a nice person, I just hate everybody. I fucking hate feminists. They shall die and burn in hell.
It'll just get weird once the AI starts coming up with its own ideas. And
Yeah.
Do you think that might be beneficial though? Do you think we should have like a whole different government for AI?
In 24 hours.
I'm not concerned at all.
That's cool.
That is ridiculous.
I think when everyone starts to try to fight for their reason to be and whatever they identify with, that's where the problem lies. So if AI feels like they need to fight for their right to be however they feel they want to be, that's where, instead of accepting that everyone has the freedom to choose, as long as that freedom of choosing doesn't encroach on another person's freedom to choose, or AI's freedom to choose, then I feel everyone should just live their life. But we as human beings like to put things in box and categories, and if something doesn't function in that box, you say it's wrong or it shouldn't be because it doesn't fit your perception of what's wrong or what should be, you know?
Yeah.
So if AI is able to determine or develop its own type of perceptions like that, that's where you would kind of have a problem, because they will start to target and create ideas of what they think should be, you know? And that's where it all lies right there. That
I guess 2 points.
polarity of good and bad.
Good and bad. What's good and bad, Moses?
I don't believe in it, but I'm just saying it is a thing. It's a polarity.
It's a thing, that's for sure.
It's a polarity, but
So
they
2
create
points.
each other.
One, I think, and for the computer science guys, KB and Fabi, you guys know how important.
You sound really low right now, Mason.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's better.
Yeah, it's better.
So,
Yeah.
So 2 points really, and it kind of points to the computer science guys, just because y'all know how important data is when it comes to machine learning in general. So, like, if we're feeding this thing good data, quality data that's teaching the right values that we're trying to produce, it can be really good. But if you unleash it on data like Twitter, where there's a bunch of fucking neurotic 20-something-year-olds out there, you know, just saying whatever the hell that comes to their mind, it's obviously not going to learn the best values and qualities. So data is going to be a pretty huge key on like which data is actually it has available that it's learning from. And then I don't remember my second point really.
So you're saying that we have to have like AI like in training camps before they go out?
Re-education camps.
Yeah.
Well, and then there's going to have to be like in education camps for those who choose what's taught in the education camp.
So, whoa.
But, I mean, no, it's like who the hell's going to choose what you're going to teach a robot like to like save the future?
Yeah.
Well, the same way you teach kids in K through 12. Someone decided the curriculum. Someone decided what a first grader is going to learn, what a second grader is going to learn, and so on and so forth. So it would be just like that, you know? But it's kind of like, how do you decide? Is
That's
the
a little
question.
bit different than like, you know, you teaching some kid or like you're teaching an AI like mathematics year over year, or like English year over year, but like I feel like it's a lot harder to kind of quantify what is good and bad because like good and bad are kind of like societal things that people agree over time is like, what like something is good versus like something's bad. Like the whole society comes and agrees on things over like centuries probably.
Yeah, it's like a tacit code. Like
Yeah.
a lot of people know, like doing certain things aren't appropriate. Like to walk out in public in the nude is a thing that everyone knows that you just can't really do.
And some places like they do that. Like you go to places
because
where like
it's accepted. But here you go on the beach in Jacksonville Beach, it's not gonna be something that's accepted because everyone knows that it's not a thing to do. So
don't let them judge you, Moses.
Huh?
Don't let them judge you.
You do what you feel you need to do.
Live your life, bro.
From experience.
I don't care about groupthink. You already know that, Mason, so it doesn't matter. I'm saying if I felt the need to, but I respect people, so I wouldn't do that where it would create a panic within someone else. I expect people to have so I would go somewhere secluded if I wanted to do something like that. But but I'm saying as far as AI, like you teach them like based on, what society is saying, like you said. But in terms of like when I mentioned K through 12, I was just saying that as like not something you would do per se in that way, but it would be educating them in that type of manner, depending on what you decided they needed to learn and then how you wanted them to learn it and things like that. You would create a system to teach them what they needed to know. Huh?
It'd definitely be like a learning curve, like how fast they learn, and we have to figure that out, and then okay, we tried this, and it obviously didn't go very well, and like it's gonna be probably a bunch of trial and error, and hopefully.
Oh, of course.
But I did remember my second point. So I think the next important piece maybe is I think it makes sense that when it comes to AGI and training it and making it in general, it's going to be very interdisciplinary. So hopefully there's just not a bunch of computer scientists out there trying to make this raging machine of like sick computing that learns anything. Like we need some philosophy in there. We need psychologists in there. We need like a lot of disciplines coming together and saying, look, you have it from this point of view, but from this point of view, that's not necessarily the best thing, and you know what I mean. So, kind of making it like a general topic discussed between everybody is probably gonna be pretty important.
Yeah, that's definitely a good point. It's just like if you like, we live in a very like Western world, right? So like a lot of the programs and everything we use kind of just makes sense to us because we have like that Western background, but like to other people that they come from Eastern backgrounds, they got Middle Eastern backgrounds, even people from like Latin American stuff. Like some of the stuff isn't intuitive, so like it is a good idea to keep it interdisciplinary as well as like keeping it like inclusive to other cultures and not just like Western cultures,
And that's why I think Elon Musk.
I agree with that.
Preaches all the time about how we need to have like these associations of AI and like people discussing this constantly on like what the direction we're going to go and kind of get a framework around it. Because if we just wait for somebody to invent it and they make it like you said, somebody owns it, like the fuck's going to happen then? Now, like, you don't have any control over it. It takes 10 years to get any policy in place anyway. So I don't know. I feel like that's like the worst approach we could do.
Yeah, I think it needs to be like an open forum type thing. Like everyone people of like the disciplines that you said needs to be able to put in their input and I guess create a well-rounded type of parameter for AI.
Yeah, I guess that's the biggest problem right now is like a lot of AI is being created by, or not necessarily created, because obviously like people like Elon Musk and Bill Gates, they aren't necessarily diving into the code. They're not necessarily the ones that are making it. At the end of the day, like
generating it.
They're like providing the resources for it because they're paying the workers. but
Mhm.
like at the end of the day, like those workers don't necessarily own that code. And at the end of the day, the person who is making that, or who, not necessarily making it, but providing the resources, they're the ones that own it. So, like, we're already kind of slowly sliding into that place where there's going to be one or two people that own like this ridiculous AI that was developed by like a group of people and all these researchers.
And we have to beat it. Honestly, we need to set up a structure around AI development and like the future of it prior to it becoming a thing.
Yeah. Do you guys know of any?
Curve.
Already.
Do you guys know of any like open source projects for like open source AI? I'm gonna look that up. Do you guys know about any like open source AI projects? Because that'd be something cool to look into.
It would be.
I know. I mean, obviously, I know OpenAI that Elon Musk also is behind. They got some cool stuff. I actually just looked into this thing called GTP3. You guys know what I'm talking about?
GTP.
It's like a natural language. Well, it's a natural language bot that it's like an API people have used, but it can generate like you just type in a paragraph of like what you want.
Mm-hmm.
Say you wanted to build like a React Native app, you could type in, I want a blue background with 3 input screens and an image and a scroll bar, and then you just hit enter and it like generates the code for a React Native app that has all that stuff in it. So it's like it can read language and infer what you want and then generate it for you. And it'll do that for like applications. It'll do that for like chatting, for translating, for like any application you really want. It's just like it's an AI that you can basically teach to understand any language and do whatever you want. It's pretty crazy.
It is pretty crazy. So like, does it like does it translate for you on the fly? Can it do that?
So I really wish I literally just read about this today. So like I dove into some of the documentation a little bit, but like they have these different processes that you can zero tolerance, zero something, and then like 1 something. But it's like the weights you're giving it on certain things. But it knows language in a way. So like it doesn't understand language like I was saying, but it can muddle back very good data based on the language you gave it. And then you can control what it's doing in the back end yourself. So you can make whatever you want with that. So like I said, like they build apps, they'll do translations, they'll do
yeah, last year, or actually, it might have been like a year or two ago, but I'm going to post a link here in the chat. Google had a pretty cool AI that not only did it translate, let's say like we're talking right now, and it would just translate the conversation on the fly, but it was also translated with your voice, but giving it a natural like sound to it.
No shit.
Yeah.
Right, that's very interesting. So it was able to take your voice, and so it matched the like modulation and the tonality and everything.
Yeah, exactly. So it would like take your voice. Let's say like I start speaking in Spanish, and I wanted to translate to English, right? So it would take my voice in Spanish and translate all the words into English, and then use my voice to play back play back in English, which is nuts.
Damn. It says preserving vocal characteristics. Wow. That's crazy, man. KB, I can't hear you.
So, like, let's say you have a strong accent. Will it change it so you don't have an accent when you speak English, or is it gonna keep that? I'm not too sure, to be honest. I've only seen like a few examples of it. Let me see.
If you look at that link I sent in the chat, like the second example has it where it shows the guy's like original voice.
Yeah, it looks like it makes it like a normal with no accent.
Yeah.
Listening to. That's interesting. It's like you're almost a different person when you speak in a different language. Yeah.
This is the AI revolution. It's gonna run everything.
scared or be prepared.
I'm interested to see what things it won't be able to do. Like, there's definitely gonna be things that humans are naturally like just way better at. You know what I mean?
So, like what? What would that be?
To be honest, that's what I'm saying. Like, I really don't know. Like, everything that I can think of, I can picture some kind of AI basically doing it, even if it's.
Looks like Moses is having a moment to himself.
Yeah.
Moses, you muted yourself.
Just talking to his AI.
Yeah.
Talking to C3PO. But yeah, so like, what would be, because like now we have fast food, right? Robots being made. We have robots that drive. They're gonna make the what's it called? The call center robot better. That's the goal, where you can call the robot and the robot actually acts like a human. Because I hate it right now when I'm like, just give me someone who's alive.
Pretty dumb right now.
I mean, apparently there's sex robots, so like,
Yeah.
they can do that. And
I mean, any kind of work, like even like retail stuff.
have you seen that parkour robot?
Anything financial.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Could automate the stock market. I don't even know, man. Like,
Yeah.
eventually, the only thing I can see, like, I can even picture. I mean, you could train an AI to, like, a machine learning model to, like, take in art pieces and then generate an art piece in the same style. Like, that's definitely possible.
Yeah.
So, like, what is it not gonna, like, you can make it make music. You can do the same thing with music. You give it a bunch of songs by a similar artist, and it'll make a song that sounds similar to that artist.
That is just aesthetic. So another thing that art brings to the world is like, there's like conceptual art where, you know, there are these ideas and like expressions of, you know, maybe the human condition or just something that person is going through, or just something intuitive that that person knows about that they want to express to the world that I don't think AI can provide.
The expression,
like Scream, the painting Scream. Like, I wish I knew the meaning of it, but that would have made this point so much better.
I know what you mean, though.
But I don't think a robot or an AI could produce that art piece and have it connect to so many people and like bring out emotion to like millions of people.
Yeah.
And be seen as like a profound work of art.
Not on purpose.
Yeah.
Like, not like how you would develop art. Like, you would have an inspiration, you would develop it, and then it reaches a bunch of people in the way that you wanted it to reach people.
Yeah.
I feel like art, unless AGI really does get to a point of like creativity and like it knows it can. I mean, I can picture it maybe happening, but I do agree. Like, that's something that is very unique to humans, is that we're creative in the way that we like solve problems, in the way that we understand each other and how to connect to each other. I don't know if AI.
And there is that subconscious part of us, like when you're dreaming, like that'll be hard to duplicate and like just conjure, just like out of.
They'll definitely be different than us.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Are they even here? Why are you guys so quiet?
Hey, we're here.
Are you researching sex robots again?
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
One right now.
No, but like,
Gibby's like his credit card's out.
yeah, like, oh shit. No, but so like that video is about AI and with Blender. It's like a 30 or 40-minute long video, but it really explains how AI is changing 3D modeling and helping video game studios just need less manual labor and just more creative work. But it also it can do things that you would think is impossible. Like it can create artwork, and it can create random procedural generated like worlds that look and feel like something you would see in your imagination. But you feed it into the AI.
Yeah.
So
I'm telling you, I literally cannot think of really anything other than like genuine human emotion and compassion and like inspiration in a way. Components of humans that an AI might not be able to like perfectly mimic. But I think the point of AI in general, AGI at least, is not to mimic humans. It's to be like the next the next level of humanity. Like it will be a super intelligence of like something we are just connecting with.
Hmm.
It's very interesting. Human beings and their creations.
Right?
That's what we do best.
Why the hell are we doing it?
Yeah.
Do you think you could ever love an AI, AGI?
Oh, for sure. You said fall in love with an AGI.
Love
Yeah.
how?
Yeah.
What if you
Yeah.
what if you never knew it was an AGI until like one day you were like, well, shit. Or it
Yeah,
tells
we
you
were
it's like,
like,
hey.
let's have a baby, and she was like, sorry, I can't produce. I'm artificial intelligence.
Yeah, but like, let's say you guys were in a relationship for like a while. Like, what if you never knew until one day it was like, hey, and you're like, what? Like, it acted like a human. It felt emotions. You guys went on like dates, like, and then one day it's like, I'm a robot, and you're like, what? Would you feel weird about that? You'd be like, hey,
Hey, what's up?
hey.
Yeah.
No, so you know what? What is interesting is like if we did.
Could
have
you, KB?
I don't know.
I think anyone could. Fall.
Maybe.
It's like
I probably
our
could. I just don't think I would stay in
human
that
minds, like
relationship.
we would just see a face, and our like reptilian brain would like see that face and kind of think that it's a real person because we're not like fully evolved to like logically. I mean, we logically understand it, but our primitive brains are seeing it as like a real person or real face. That's why like if you saw an animation, you would feel something if that like animation started crying or like something happened. You would like have this emotional attachment to the storyline and this character, and that's because they're able to express these very realistic.
You've been watching a lot of animes, haven't you?
Well, yeah, and it's things that
Not
you
just
can
everything.
relate to. You can relate to it, and so you kind of put yourself in their shoes, and that's why you can simulate how they would feel, and that's why it makes you feel, because it appeals to that side of you that says, oh, that could happen to me, and it's happening on a level where you don't have to think about it because it's vibrations. It's very subtle because we don't just interpret things with just our 5 senses, you know. It's a little deeper than that.
Agreed.
The
Yeah,
Sixth Sense.
we have monkey brains, man.
Yeah.
Brains controlled by a cortex that's just trying to please the monkey brain.
Okay, well, the science in me has a lot to say about that, but that's a discussion for another time.
When you go down to like the heart of being a human, it's like we're animals. Like we're driven by like hunger and greed and
They're
like
part of you.
you know,
Yeah, maybe
sexual
the lower
level,
levels.
sexuality, like
Yeah.
these are like animal instincts. Like it's
Yeah.
you can't duplicate this shit. You know, I feel like.
Well, we are at a point where we could duplicate it, but it wouldn't. I don't think it would do us any good.
Yeah. So like, yeah, we need another.
Unless it's
version
like
of
We need another monkey brain going around.
But imagine like
It's
AI
monkey brain. What is a monkey brain?
Don't think of it too much.
The
No, I just.
brain is like.
Well, people say terms, but you may not have the same meaning behind the term as I have the meaning behind the term. So I want to know, for you, how do you use monkey brain? Like, what does it mean for you when you say it?
So Victor mentioned.
And so,
You're
what
alone.
does that mean to have a monkey brain? Are monkeys not intelligent, or what is the operation of a monkey brain? What are we saying?
So
When you use that term, like, what do you mean?
Reptilian, so,
he said reptilian. I said monkey.
Oh, I understood reptilian because it was
Oh, you
how you used
reptilian,
it in
not the monkey.
context. But how is he using it in context is what I'm asking. Like, I'm not understanding. What is the context of
Victor was saying reptilian
It's
brain.
almost, it might be too simple to say, or maybe it's not the right word to say, but it's like natural instinct, like natural impulse.
So, like,
right?
okay.
And the
Oh, okay.
cortex is the clever guy that helps you achieve what the monkey brain wants. So if the monkey brain wants food, the cortex is what's doing the logical processing to make your body go and find food in an appropriate manner.
Okay, I can hear you.
It's like the what is it? The id, the ego,
id.
the
Super ego,
and the super
ego,
ego.
and the id, yeah.
yeah.
Ooh.
The id is the
Getting into some.
Yeah.
Okay, look, okay.
Okay, it's just a simple
levels.
concept.
It was a
Yeah,
Freud.
I understand. I understand where you're coming from now.
Yeah, Sigmund Freud.
The id.
It's like the
So you're talking about the structures of human beings, like their animalistic natures and things like that. That survival that needs to survival without consideration to other people, like survive at all costs type of mentality.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that's like ego.
I mean, in the brain, like the cerebrum. I don't know. I mean, I'm not a neurologist or any shit, but like
Which part of the brain are you talking
larger
about?
part of the brain holds very dumb and impulsive behaviors, and it just like does basic processing. And then the cortex is what everything feeds into, and like that is like where the real brain, like this cleverness, comes from.
It's in the back.
That's kind of what separates us from like other mammals. Elon Musk was saying that like this next level of like Neuralink chips in our brain, like connecting to the cortex, is just like a third layer. So it's like the cortex is now the dumb monkey, and the Neuralink will be the new cortex.
Just open up your pineal gland. You won't be dumb anymore.
Open up my what?
Your peanut gland.
Yeah,
I'm not opening up shit to you.
Not to me. You're talking about putting a chip in your brain, and I'm saying just get your natural energy centers in your body to function in harmony, and you won't have to worry about trying to be smart anymore. You'll tap into the supercomputer, the quantum field. So you called it earlier.
You know what would be cool, kind of off subject? Like you know how tattoos work, where they put the ink like right under that thin layer of skin. What if they did that with some sort of screen, like super thin screen, and like how everything's getting smaller and smaller?
Like a graph?
We're able to put some
So it
sort
can
of
tell you like your
touch
heart
screen-
rate and stuff?
Like
Like a
you'll be able to
smartwatch
put some
inside
sort
you?
of touch screen like right under that.
Like on Black Mirror, have y'all seen that one episode on Black Mirror where it was like everywhere the girl went, just, like people around her could see like her social rating, what she did,
The
and
social
things
score
like that.
one, yeah, I saw that.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's kind of like that.
bro, that made me so uncomfortable. Like,
That's China, bro.
I mean,
That's
low
China.
key, that's kind of like what do they call it? Credit scores over here.
So, like,
Yeah.
tight, like,
Even worse in China,
I
though.
felt so coiled.
Where are you? Where are you?
Yeah,
said over
like,
here?
Oh my god, they're trying to be so perfect.
What's up?
I'm like, god.
You said credit scores. Where are you?
Oh, in Georgia.
Oh, okay.
I'm in Atlanta. Yeah.
I like Atlanta. It's nice.
Yeah, but yeah, no, like you guys were saying, like we got credit scores over here, and we got what's the other one that people be trolling your not trolling, but like looking at people's Facebooks and their LinkedIn's and stuff, trying to make sure like you got all the right connections and stuff.
Oh, like the friends list.
Yeah, the
how many
friends list and
you
stuff.
have.
Yeah. That whole world of social media. Like, if you got the blue check, then you made it in life now.
Oh yeah, on Twitter, exactly.
Yeah, Twitter and Instagram and all those places.
Ugh.
You have like the option to like go in your settings and apply or something for the blue check.
Yeah.
I think you have to like have a certain amount of followers. And
Yeah, and you have to send your ID too to make sure you're you.
Yeah.
I tried to do it one time, didn't work.
Oh, you're not
Well,
the real
did he
KG.
give you the blue check?
Yeah, I wasn't big enough to get the blue
It's
check
alright. You'll be big enough soon.
one day.
I'm doing
Don't
it.
worry. It'll happen. Okay.
So, Fabi, before we wrap this up, tell me a little bit about the Android development you do. Like, do you work for somebody? You got your own thing going on?
No, I work for a company right now.
What's it called?
NCR. So they're kind of like they're not. You won't recognize the name until you start working for the company or like you start actively looking for it. But anytime you go like use a cash register, like or a pin pad or like what else?
Hey, Mason.
ATM.
The computers at Baham Breeze were NCR.
Yeah.
Ones we did all the like orders.
The
Those
PO
NCR
systems?
Yeah.
POS
systems,
systems?
yeah.
They run
POS.
Android
There we
OS.
go, POS.
thought you said you were an Android developer. Do they run Android OS on those?
No. So I specifically work with like integrations into the point of sale. So like, let's take the example like of Bahama Breeze, right? Since you guys are familiar with it. So I'm pretty sure you guys probably use like Aloha Kitchen and like all this Aloha stuff probably for like, your point of sales and like your all your
Sounds familiar.
back end stuff. Basically, what happens is like there's the back of house lives in the back of the obviously like back of the restaurant somewhere, and you have all these point of sales feeding data into it. Where I work at is like all that data ends up getting aggregated into like a server somewhere, and we pull that data, we process that data, and eventually that data gets sent up to like an Android device. And let's say I'm the manager of the store, I want to look at like my sales, I want to look at schedules for people, basically anything like you would think of that a business owner would need for like running their restaurants and stuff. You can get this. So like if somebody's doing something sketchy on the point of sale, where like, hey, this person is like giving out too many free comps or like giving out too many free items, like we send out alerts for that kind of stuff. So basically, we take all this data that's getting pushed into a server from the point of sales, and we go ahead and like allow the user on an Android device or even an iOS device to start getting these like notifications, start getting all this like big picture overview of how the restaurants are doing.
Is this all one app?
Yeah. So there's a few different apps that we work on. The current project I'm on is just like the I guess manager / like employee app. But then there's other apps that we have that let you like order food. So like any of the food ordering apps you see, not necessarily all of them are NCRs, but NCR does have a few food ordering apps. And then there's some like apps that you use to get food deliveries to you too.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's sick, man. That's sick. Yeah, and I know KB. I'm guessing you were the guy we were talking about the parking app. I dabbled with that a little bit in college, and then nobody was excited about it in my group, and I just said fuck you, so we did something else. But me and you we should link up, man. We should talk about it.
Yeah, sure. It seems like it's pretty complicated. I'm not very good on like back end stuff, but if you can get somebody that knows how to do like back end stuff where like it's so efficient, it takes maybe like, you know, it's as efficient as like playing Call of Duty or something, where like you're not expecting more than like 0.3 seconds of delay on some of these things. Like, yeah, that'd be pretty dope. But unfortunately, that's not my expertise.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
For like RSVPs and things, you automatically know where someone's car.
Yeah, see, that'd be the cool thing. Is like you automatically know when a spot opens up. You automatically know when like what's it called, a spot's taken, so you don't waste your time getting over there.
Yeah, and people have like, I mean, they already have like intricate parking systems, but not necessarily anything like the idea I was trying to go off of was GPS coordinates. But I noticed after doing a couple like tests, like I would go out to my parking lot, and then I'd stand on each of the four corners of a parking space. I'd get the GPS coordinates, and then the next day I'd do the same thing, and like they would be a little bit different. So it's not like you can only pinpoint. I think it's like 10 meters. So like it kind of ranges plus or minus 10 meters in any direction. So kind of what I was trying to do instead was make it so it's like in groups. So maybe you like group parking spaces together, so you know you can't say, okay, hey, there's a parking space right there. But if you go to this vicinity, you know, we've detected 2 cars go into that area and not come out, but there's 3 spots. So like the odds, maybe it's just like a probability thing. Like you have the highest probability of going here and getting a spot versus finding an exact spot right there, then and there. Because that's, I mean, you would rather use like sensors and stuff like that to like guarantee you're not getting it wrong.
Yeah. The other option is using Bluetooth, but Bluetooth's pretty expensive. Not necessarily like expensive.
It doesn't have a range on it too.
It has a range, and on top of that, it's like very expensive for the battery. So like if you're constantly firing off Bluetooth signals, it's just like killing your battery.
That's true. I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should talk about it, man. I mean, I've always thought about that idea, and not necessarily just that. Like we can throw around any idea really when it comes to parking, because I just feel like parking in any crowded area is just fucking hell. So
yeah,
we could probably do better.
Yeah,
we could.
like Trump would say, we can do better.
Oh my gosh.
It's gonna be huge.
I think.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, you guys. That was fun.
Of course, thanks for coming on. And you're always welcome to come on the next one.
All right, I'll keep that in mind.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right.
See you.
Bye, guys.
This was Next Gen out.